Hi, friends. This is your friendly neighborhood hostess, Sophie, of sexwithsophie.com, here for another wonderful time with you all for Call a Liberal, the place where it is safe and encouraged to chat with someone who may think, believe, behave a little differently than you, in order to find the things that we actually have in common with each other. I say it all the time, but I have so much respect for Dean Withers and Luke Beasley and Destiny and all these folks out here, Javon Bradley, who are amazing debaters. That's not what this is. That's not what I'm at all capable of. I'm not here to admonish you for your logical fallacies. I am here to understand your perspective and your point of view. And so that's where this show came from, and that's why I'm here, just to offer you a space and a time for conversation, discussion, chit-chat and chilling. While I wait for callers, I tend to just chit-chat about what's on my mind, and of course the DEI CRT thing is just popping off right now, so I thought I would offer my thoughts, especially given that I worked in DEI for as long as I have, supporting several nonprofit governmental organizations in their DEI efforts via marketing, website management, things like that. So let me be the first to say I'll shut up whenever you want me to. If you give me a call, I put all my attention on you. If you would rather leave some comments in the comment section, I'm happy to read those out and engage that way. You can also text that number if you like. Okay, so we got one from Rika. She says that, and I don't think I can say words. I know people say unaliving and graping and all that, so I might have to go down that train of them saying some things. So smaportion. I don't know. She says, Rika says, abortion is a sin. Don't matter how you view it. I absolutely disagree. I would love to know where the Bible says that it's a sin. If you can find that, that'd be great, because I've looked, and the only place that I have seen some abortion in the Bible is actually a how-to do it guide. Furthermore, God kills kids all the time. He kills unborn kids all the time. At pretty much anybody's behest, it seems. So yeah, God doesn't care. I don't know why you would think it's a sin, or why you would break his aspersion to not cast stones in a glass house, but go right ahead. That's your prerogative. Way Out says, you're done with what? Rich, DEI is not equality. You're right, it's not equality, it's equity. If people need DEI to gain a position, they don't deserve to be in it. What's so funny is, what that it kind of assumes is that people who benefit from or supposed to benefit from DEI, marginalized groups and whatnot, I think the general assumption from people who feel that way is that those people are not qualified or they're less qualified, when research shows and history shows that marginalized groups, particularly Black men and women, actually have to be overqualified to get in a position. And so if you look at who actually has benefited when there are not DEI structures and affirmative action and things like that in place, it tends to actually be that your race and gender that are given more credence without merit are white and male. So yeah. Okay, if Musk did it, what did Obama do? I don't quite understand. 10 commandments, thou shalt not kill. Which one? There are 3 different sets of 10 commandments, sweetheart. God can do what he wants. Sure. Okay. DEI is a way of telling people they weren't smart or good enough for the job. No, that's your way of telling people that you think DEI means that marginalized groups are not fit for the job. That's not at all what the definition is. Let's see. Yes, if you can't do it on merit, you don't deserve it. Again, who's saying that marginalized groups aren't presenting merit, that they're not qualified? That is not what DEI or affirmative action, which I think is being conflated here, does. The host can't even find the right words. Yeah, sometimes I do stumble on my words. To be honest with you, I'm a little nervous. This is just my 3rd or 4th day streaming on TikTok, and seems to be really active, so it's kind of new to me. I've actually been streaming for a few months now to kind of your traditional places, your Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that. But I've also been in really alt-tech, alt-right platforms because that's where I want to talk to people who disagree with me. So I really appreciate your perspectives and thoughts. I do try to offer what I know to be true and what I've seen as factual information, so we can discuss those things. But I've been streaming to X and Kick, but also Rumble. I'm on Locals, Gab. I did post to True Social, but Donald Trump banned me from True Social. It was like the first day he was in office, I got banned from True Social. So if that tells you anything about how much he's afraid of me, that he's afraid of liberal left-wing thinking, especially somebody like me I'm not, we're not enemies. Like, I honestly, again, I really appreciate your thoughts and perspectives. Thank you for sharing them. I'm happy to read them out. This is not contention to me. Like, I'm really trying to absorb what you're saying. But, I think when somebody's approaching difference with openness, that's actually scarier to people like Donald Trump, because then what are we going to fight about? What is there to create distraction from the real bullshittery that's going on in government and in the world? So I think we're absolutely all entitled to our opinions, but at the end of the day, I think we all really want the same things. So when it comes to DEI in particular, I think that what you're trying to say is that you just want people to be deserving of the things that they're getting. And so my perspective would be that, DEI actually offers more opportunities for people who are, again, absolutely qualified, most of the time overqualified, where they wouldn't have been presented with those options in the past. So, I'm here to just say that it's not a zero-sum game. Somebody else benefiting doesn't mean that somebody loses out, So again, let's try to maybe come to some consensuses, or even like investigate ourselves as to why we think the things that we do. Like, what if DEI really did say, I'm going to give this job to someone who is less deserving, which is what I think you're thinking, then that would mean that your righteous indignation for a person who does not get something that they worked for, that they went to school for, that they, tried to do smaller jobs for, that they interned for, that they, studied for, that's wrong. And so I'm just saying I agree with you for people to, again, not only exert the same, but oftentimes more effort to get to that job application, to get to that job interview, and they don't even get into the door or foot into the door because they're not a white man. I think that's wrong. And again, I just judging by the logic, you do too. So again, let's just try to look past like the falsehoods around it all and understand that we're all wanting people to get the things that they deserve in life. And so that's where, if you feel like just because somebody's not white, just because somebody's not a man, that they're less deserving, then that's on you to look into yourself, because that's quite racist. Oftentimes it's quite sexist, it's quite homophobic, it's quite transphobic, because DEI, again, does not just benefit black and brown people. It benefits, women and just people with disabilities and LGBTQIA plus people who are oftentimes white women, white gay people, white disabled people. So, I mean, it's absolutely something where, people who are trying to preserve things for the systems and whatnot for the white race, you're shooting the white race in the foot. And as a matter of fact, 76% of the DEI professionals, so the executives and leaders who were just fired recently, were white women. So it's insane that, what's the objective here? Like, what are you actually trying to achieve? I don't quite understand. Let's see. Let me try to catch back up. I'm sorry. And I'm just a blibber blabbering, but you are absolutely welcome to interrupt at any time. Give me a call. Share your thoughts. Let me know what your perspectives are. You can text that number. Of course, you can continue leaving comments. I'm going to try to read what I can. In fact, let me try to be smart about this. I haven't actually looked at my own lives, so I might be able to see the comments a little better that way. Let me try that first. Because again, this is day 3 or 4 of streaming to TikTok, so I'm trying to like, manage it as best I can. Let's see. I don't even know how to find myself. That's kind of bad. Like, I see the little studio thing they give you, but I'm not sure I'm keeping up well enough. Maybe it's just that this is, a popular topic. There's so many comments coming through. So, okay, I don't know. Maybe what that means is that you should instead call me if you want your opinions and thoughts to be read or shared, because I'm clearly not keeping up with comments very well. I'm really, really trying. Rika, again, she says that the 10 commandments are thou shalt not kill. Again, there's 3 different sets of 10 commandments. Which one are you talking about? Let's see what else we've got. Diversity and inclusion are not fair. Please break that down. This was good. Okay, we already read that. Okay, so I did catch up a little bit. Let's see. DEI, more fit for the job. Don't quite understand. Encourage your viewers to share your lives and invite more friends. That's okay. Hey, share this live and invite more friends. Thanks. I agree. It encroaches on white privilege. Oh, Valentino. I like you. Oh my gosh, let's see. Do you want a doctor with a 4.0 GPA or a 2.8 GPA? Oh, Rich. Thank you for lifting that out, baby, because that is not what's happening. First of all, what do you call a doctor who has a 1.2 2 GPA. You call them fucking doctor. So you don't know what people did in school. If they're working the job, you have no idea like how their actual performance in their educational space was. With that being said, honestly, like, you have to get it out of your head that DEI, that affirmative action, that all these programs that were put in place are meant to lower standards or lower qualifications. That is, honest to God, just your racism talking. To be like, okay, in order for Black people, because that's what you're thinking, even though DEI again means all these things, you're thinking Black people. So when you think, in order for a Black person to get a job, especially over a white man in particular, that they have to lower the standards, that they have to accept a 2.8 GPA as opposed to a 4.0 GPA, that's racist. And it's not true. So again, I don't think we're enemies. I don't think we're necessarily even on opposite sides of this argument, guys. I absolutely feel like you're misinformed. But the issue is that I'm telling you, again, it's not lowering standards. It's not lowering qualifications. But there's going to be a wall. That's not going to get through. You're still not going to hear me because your racism is overshadowing your ability to accept that sometimes Black people, brown people, women, people with disabilities, LGBTQIA people actually can put in the same amount of effort, if not more, for the positions that they're applying for. So, I honestly think that what I'm calling for is a lot more self-work. The rich, wise, if you're back on, like, you guys have to really start being a little bit more introspective about what you're saying, because it's coming from a place of hate. And I'd love to continue thinking that you are a good person. And unfortunately, though, I cannot think that a good person is racist. So let's have a little bit more self-reflection, folks. DEI segregation, how? Explain that. DEI is not just about race. It's for more reaching. It has far more reaching. It has far more implications than most Republicans are aware. Absolutely true, guitar fan. I could not agree more. You couldn't have said it better myself. I'm trying to make note of folks as well, so I can give you some flowers later. Thank you so much. They're absolutely right. Like, DEI doesn't just mean when you're down to the hiring process, who are you going to choose? If anything, that was more solidly the affirmative action program. And that even was not saying, how are we going to lower the standards? How are we going to lower the qualifications for this job? That's not true. It basically just said, if all things remain equal with these applicants, let's give the opportunity to a marginalized group. And again, oftentimes that was white women or an LGBTQIA person. So it's not always a Black man or Black woman that's benefiting solely from these programs. But I digress. We actually have a litmus test from the fact that affirmative action was abolished, or whatever we're going to call it, by the Supreme Court recently. So studies that have come out kind of post affirmative action going away have showed that in particular, admittances to universities remain the same for Black groups, whereas for Asian groups, it's gone down significantly. So again, the people that you think you're hurting with these efforts versus the people you think you're helping with these efforts are very different than the reality. And so that's kind of why I added the CRT to the talk today, because I think the same thing's going to happen with these DEI programs, because again, they're not all about the hiring process. They do other things. They do things like encouraging groups in leadership to look at their implicit biases and how that might affect their the way they work with their teams or the way they have their hiring processes. They might have language that's ableist in their job descriptions. They might want to have job fairs or hiring pipelines that work with HBCUs. There's a lot more to it. There's even pushes to eliminate that checkbox that says that I was a felon or I committed a crime or whatever, in order to try to, again, honestly, think about that. Donald Trump couldn't apply for a regular job because he's a felon now, which is hilarious. So DEI means a lot of things, but CRT, that's under attack now. And it's funny because, again, like I was saying with the litmus test of affirmative action going away and that not really harming the people that they're trying to hurt, CRT, they're saying, oh, we want this out of our schools. It's not in schools. It's not in schools. It's a law school theory that's discussed in graduate schools and law schools. So I'm kind of like, let them rail against these things, because when they take away these DEI programs, it's not going to hurt who they think they're going to hurt. Like, my folks are going to be fine. It's definitely going to be disabled people and white women who suffer the most from these things. And then let them take away CRT, because again, it's not in the schools in the first place. So if anything, I'm just saying it's a bad thing to do. It's a bad thing to do because, it's being done for the wrong reason, and to hurt anyone is not good. Even though it's going to hurt white women more than it hurts anybody else. I don't want white women to get hurt. And we have a call. Hold on 1 second. Hi, this is Sophie. What's your name? Okay. That's all right. Just try back again if you like. I'm absolutely trying to be faster on the draw, but I did pick up and I think it just hung up. I'm sorry. So let me go back to some comments. So sorry. So when he said Candace Owens for president, MAGA, what qualifications do you like about Candace Owens? I'm not unfamiliar. I'm sorry. Wheelchair access would not be available without DEI and inclusion. Absolutely. Somebody even laughed or made me laugh when they said that, all that extra time you were given to take your tests, you know who you're talking about. Like, that's DEI. I agree completely. And that's one of the things that is so sad. Again, I don't think that DEI programs going away are going to harm Black people specifically, but I don't want anyone to be harmed. And so if you look at the kind of maybe parable of that saying that the rising tide lifts all ships, let's see, what's your name? Dr. Mars, you're absolutely correct that wheelchair access wouldn't be a thing, that we wouldn't have all the elevators in every building that has more than 2 stories. We wouldn't have ramps on the sidewalk. And it's funny that things that we do to help one marginalized group end up helping so many more people beyond who that initial focus was for. So yes, we have elevators in buildings. Yes, we have ramps and access and all kinds of wonderful things to help wheelchair-bound our wheelchair-bound friends. But how much more easy that's made everybody's life. If you're carrying luggage somewhere, or pushing your baby in a stroller, or if you're wanting to practice skateboarding or ride your bike or whatever, like, life is so much better because of the things they did for this one group. And the same is true in the opposite direction, unfortunately. When you do things to take away diversity, equity, and inclusion, it doesn't just harm the one group you're intending to harm. So an extraordinary book that you should read is The Sum of Us by Heather McGee, I want to say. It's amazing because it talks about just how bad that can be when you try to segregate pools, public pools, for instance, and in order to prevent Black people from enjoying public pools, you pour acid on them when they're in the pool, or you just fill it in with cement. The Tulsa bombings, Wilmington bombings, all the different times that Black people try to excel economically, it's basically literally bombed away. They ran whole highway systems through Black neighborhoods in California and all over the country. So, think about the implications, the further reaching implications of those things. Like, I guess we're a much less pedestrian friendly country simply because of how much we wanted to make life difficult for Black people. Redlining, there's so much that was done to be kind of like the antithesis of DEI that, again, has further reaching implications for everybody. It makes it harder for everyone to enjoy a swimming pool or partake of a Black business that was bombed away, or to enjoy a neighborhood because it's now underwater or demolished because they wanted to put a highway through it. So, long and short, the rising tide lifts all ships, but lowering the tide also harms all ships. So, I agree, Dr. Mars. That's a very long tangent away from my original thought, I suppose. But if you guys want to, again, interrupt at any time, this is your time. This is your space. I'm just here to offer an opportunity for discussion and chit-chatting. I fully respect, like, Destiny and all these people out here who can debate, but that is not what this is. I, honest to God, do not feel like you are my adversary. I don't think we're on opposite ends of much. And that's what I want to do, is try to find the bridges between our ways of thinking. So again, like, all the people out here who are like, DEI is bad and, DEI sucks. I see all these comments. DEI has stunted my career. Kelby, you talked about that yesterday. I'd love for you to share your story if you want to give me a call. You gotta look at the fact that everybody who's seeing these folks say DEI sucks, just take a step back and think about what they're actually saying. They're saying that we want people to get the jobs that they deserve. And so, again, they're kind of saying what we're saying. It's just that they have a skewed perception of who is deserving and who isn't. And that's where, again, I'd love for my brothers and sisters who believe that DEI is a bad thing, again, have a little bit more introspection. And Johnny, let me see if I can find your original comment. I did not see it. I do not see your original comment. I see where you said respond to my comment, but I don't see the original comment. Again, I'm looking at this live studio thing, so I think I'm missing some things. I don't see my live on my actual TikTok account, so I genuinely don't know how I'm showing up or what's happening on the TikTok side of things. I'm in a studio setting, I guess. I do see that George Diggler thinks my logic is flawed. Please explain. Let's see. Okay, I have the degree, the experience, and resume, and was not hired. Instead, a minority with the other person who applied scored lower than me on the interview. Only difference was color. Yeah, you did talk about that yesterday. I definitely think that, again, that's absolutely your prerogative to seek some legal counsel and see if there was actual discriminatory practices there, because, again, it couldn't have been affirmative action, because you said this was in November of last year. Affirmative action was already rescinded. But if they are operating from some kind of DEI policy that they had in place before, Trump took all that away, then again, they're not intended to be where someone less qualified gets a job. Now, if you had equal qualifications and that person got the job, again, that might be that company's DEI practice, but I don't see how that's a bad thing, because again, you have the white privilege, the white male privilege, the white probably male heteronormative privilege of probably having a much easier time finding a job elsewhere than that other person did. So that's my thinking. But if you feel it's discrimination, go sue them. That's your right. That's your prerogative. Andrew, you ready to debate? Yeah, give me a call. I'm not good at it, but I'm happy to, we can talk about what your argument is and we can break it down if you like. But you might want to talk to Destiny or Javon Bradley for that kind of thing. I don't think Destiny's a Zionist. Again, I didn't know that, but I don't think because somebody is under a particular label that I suddenly have to lose respect or, admiration for them. Except for like Elon Musk, like when confirming that he's a Nazi, I've lost a lot of respect for him. Can I explain white privilege? What do you think I mean by white privilege? Because these days opportunities are more open to minorities. Okay, sure, yeah. Not now, because that's clearly under fire. But the point of trying to, again, build more equity, to provide more opportunities for not just minorities, but all marginalized groups, is because it tends to be, research will show that, honestly, white men just have much more advantage when it comes to hiring practices, loans, not only job applications, but getting into universities. So, the DEI and affirmative action policies that were put in place were intended to create a little bit more equity. That's it. People, and I missed what you said about your brother. For example, my brother had a 4.0 with many clubs and internships just to get denied from law school. They let in minorities before whites. Well, here's the thing. Your brother might not have had as many extracurriculars. I know you said clubs, but did he do any volunteering, or did he have, it could be literally anything. Did his essay not appeal as much as somebody else's? Whatever law school he was looking to get into, I'd love for you to research what their demographic breakdown was. And honestly, too, even though it's a law school, I think there's even sports and different sports that actually take more of a chunk of non-academic spaces than minorities do. So if anything, you should blame the athletes and not the minorities when it comes to university admissions. Yeah, white privilege is just being able to have the benefit of the doubt, being able to have just the potential, instead of the education or the qualification. The white privilege is Pete Hegseth going up for this job, and basically Donald Trump's like, you know what, I think he can do it. He has the promise, whereas the former Secretary of Defense had to have, the practice. He couldn't just rely on the promise. He had to have the practice. He had to have all of those certifications and all of that experience and all of those ranks and all of those awards and medals, just to then be still grilled just as hard at his Senate hearing. So yeah, that's all white privilege is that you're coming in with the benefit of the doubt, whereas other marginalized groups have to prove without a shadow of a doubt that they can do the same thing, if that makes sense. So that's not a very technical definition, but that's what it is. Let's see. Identical transcripts and extra stuff, and I got denied and he didn't. Yeah. I think I missed the first part of what you were saying. Let me go back. I'm sorry. And again, I'm trying to catch up. I'm so sorry. And again, feel free to interrupt anytime if you want. Okay, let's see if I can catch you in time. Hi, this is Sophie. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Sean.
Hi, Sean. What would you like to chat about today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Are you listening on your phone or?
Yeah, I'm on the TikTok live. I am listening on my phone.
Okay, cool. It seems like it was a little bit of a delay. I'm sorry, but yeah, how are you? What's on your mind?
Yeah, no worries. I just have a few questions on your ideas behind white privilege. I wanted you to give me your full opinion on that. I wanted you to kind of break it down for me. What areas of the world white privilege lies in, especially in the United States. That's what we're talking about.
I mean, it's just kind of like, I don't know if you caught what I was saying, that the overreaching way that I see it anyway. And hold 1 second, I can't hear you, so I'm going to turn this up just a touch, but you might not be able to hear me for a second. Okay, but yeah, so I'm back. But basically, just that white men especially can move in spaces without having to prove that they belong there, whereas other races, other genders, other demographics tend to have to come with receipts. Like, we have to show that we have the experience and the education and the degrees and certifications before we're even allowed to apply for a position that somebody might have already kind of had on lock, if that makes sense. But what do you disagree with? It like, do you not feel white privilege exists at all, and if not, why?
Okay, so kind of just to answer what you were saying, I think that's completely false that white men don't have to prove themselves in the workforce or anything. I was the one who had commented about my brother in high school law school.
Yeah.
And he did have extracurriculars. He had many hours of volunteer service. He had a lot. And you said to look into, the demographics of what got accepted, which I really should do because I'm not too certain on that. But at the end of the day, he pretty much did everything that he could just to get denied. And so next semester he's going to have to apply again, and hopefully that works out for him. But I think at the end of the day that it's not about the color of your skin. It's about who you know, in terms of proving yourself, like you were saying. So, like, for example, I've got buddies who they're off well, and their dads, they own businesses, and they're just going to be just fine out of college, right?
Mm-hmm.
But myself, my parents are in the working class, and out of college, I'm going to have to prove myself with whatever opportunity I have. And just because I'm a white man doesn't mean I'm going to be able to have a 2.9 in college and not great, not a great resume. I'm just going to be able to fit in. I don't have to prove myself. I think that's completely false, and I think it's not about your skin color, it's not about your demographic, it's simply about how personable you are and what your resume lines up to. And like I said, I think the standard or the belief that white men not having to prove themselves comes from is, obviously white people are corporations or whatnot are owned by white men or women, and these people obviously have white ancestors and know people in their family, and that's what say somebody with a bad resume. That's why they end up getting a good position. I really don't think it's about skin color, and I think especially in today's world, there's more opportunities for at least colleges in particular, to keep it narrow. I think colleges in particular are looking for more and more minorities. And obviously there's a less percentage of population of minorities within the United States, making it easier, per se, for minorities to get into schools. And like I said, I witnessed that with my brother, and I also had a friend who his older brother was pretty much the same thing, right? At the University of Missouri, he applied to med school, had everything. He was a really smart kid. He had like 3.9 extracurriculars, volunteer hours. He had a lot going on for him. And he got denied from med school somehow. He did end up making it in the next year with the exact same resume. But I think white men, because they're a majority, they are in turn getting less opportunities because they are the majority. That's the way I look at it.
Well, I would love for you to, I guess, just consider that all the work, all of the effort and the, like you said, doing the extracurriculars and all, everything that you did to build your resume and to make sure your application was as stellar as it could be, wrote a bomb-ass essay, like all the things that you did. It just feels like there's this other side of it. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it just feels like there's this other side of it that says that I did all this and they still let a minority in over me. As if the person who might have filled your seat, filled your seat, like you were so entitled to this position that you felt like somebody took something away from you. And also, it's an assumption, it feels like, that they did not put in the same level of work as you did. If not, again, more, to have, superseded you in actually getting an acceptance where you didn't. So, I think that it's just, maybe it's easier to accept that you didn't get in by putting the reasoning on, that somebody else got it when they weren't as deserving is what I'm hearing. You're not saying that, but that's what I hear between the lines, So if anything, I think it would be more impactful for you to try a couple of things. Try to submit your resume to other schools. Like, how many schools did you apply for? Was it just this one?
No. Well, I guess I was talking about my brother in particular.
I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah.
Personally, I'm a sophomore in college right now, and I applied to 3 schools and got into 2 of those 3 schools. But the 2 schools I was accepted to had very high acceptance rates. So what you were saying, I'm not saying that. How do I put this? I'm not saying that these minorities maybe had, less of a resume, but I'm saying in the case that the resumes line up hand in hand. If it's the exact same resume, they did the exact same things, I think colleges are prone to let in minorities over Caucasian men, especially. And I don't know, even women are getting more opportunities too. And it's like once you get out of college too, it kind of becomes a different world, right? Because then it's centered around, who the company is and, what kind of people they are, what the leadership of that company, believes in, or if they are, a bad thing like sexist or something, which, I'm not denying that people are that way. That's horrible, right? But I'm saying that has to do with a company to company thing. And when you look at colleges, it's almost like there is a need for the acceptance which I mean, it's a good thing, you know, right? Like, obviously there needs to be minorities everywhere. Like, that's great. But my point being, when you have minorities, which people are called minorities because they are less than the population within the United States, and there is a lot of positions open for them in the schools, it in turn becomes easier for them to get accepted into prestigious schools or even just regular schools than it would for a Caucasian man, because we are the mass of the population here in the United States.
Well, then look at what you just said. Minorities are minorities because they're in the minority, right? Okay, so you're right. So let's say one minority in particular, Black people. We make up about 13% of the American population. So it's just like you said, like after college, you're going to be in the real world, correct? So wouldn't you want your college to then reflect that real world and have around 13% of your student body be Black people? Like, that seems like that would be advantageous to help people move better after they get out of school. And if anything, those were the kind of targets that DEI and affirmative action were intending to reach. It wasn't that they were trying to have 80% of their school suddenly be Black people. You know, that's all they were trying to do is to make the percentages reflect reality a little bit better. So do you want to look it up? I'm happy to take a sec and we can check. You said the University of Missouri?
Yeah, no, let's look up their law school acceptance and what the demographic is on that.
Okay, I'm just gonna Google it and see what we see. Alrighty. Demographic, I guess. This is nice that they have this Google has like an AI now. That's cool.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Demographic information. Let me try something else. Mizzou law student body. Okay. The student population of University of Missouri Columbia is 76.4% white, 5.46% Black, 5.27% Hispanic. I'm going to guess that reflects in their acceptance rates. So what did we say? We're 13% and we're not even half that in what's reflected in the actual student body. So you got to think too then, okay, if you're an admissions person and you're looking at, again, all these applications in front of you, and you're saying, okay, we want to try to, again, keep our Black population around that, it looks like maybe 6%. So if white people are above 3/4 of who they're accepting, you know, you had a good shot. You had a really good chance. So don't you think like the person who has to fill that Black seat had to just be extraordinary to get because they had a 1 in 20 chance of being accepted, whereas you had a 3 in 4 chance, you know,
right,
of being accepted.
So that's not true. That's not true because you got to look at how many Caucasian people applied to the University of Missouri, how many African American people applied to the University of Missouri, and how many Hispanic people applied to the University of Missouri.
Okay.
You don't have those numbers, and I can guarantee you that probably about 75% of applications are, definitely over 50. I'll tell you that. Were Caucasian people. Like you said, Caucasian people make up the majority of the country. In turn, when you have a public state school like the University of Missouri, you're going to have a lot of Caucasian people applying, right? So it's a whole different conversation talking about poverty and whatnot. But at the end of the day, African Americans generally are more in poverty, and that is an issue for sure. But you can't just look at that. All 13% of the population, has the money to apply to the University of Missouri. If you understand what I'm saying, right? Hello? You there?
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
I'm so sorry. This stupid mic sucks. But
No worries.
no, I was just saying, honestly, even if, let's say, 100 white people applied and 200 black people applied, it's
Right.
at the end of the day, they still all had the same chance of getting in. So even if, again, twice as many black people applied, they still had only a 1 in 20 chance of getting that seat, whereas a white person had 3 out of 4 chances to get a seat. Did you
hear what I was saying though, right?
Yeah, the other things mattered as far as poverty and things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it, so it's not really, and maybe I don't think it's really a 3 and 4 chance for whites, nor do I think it's 1 in 20 chance.
Well, why not when that's what we're seeing reflected in their student body?
Right, because you have to see what the number of each demographic was that applied, right? And I can guarantee you that it was probably 3/4 of the applications that the University of Missouri gets every year is probably Caucasian. So you have to look at those numbers. It's not and it wouldn't make any sense either, even if all 13% of people that were African American applied to the University of Missouri. That's still not a 1 in 20 chance, right?
Well, it's safe to say though, what it feels like to, and you said your name is Sean?
Yeah, that is my name. What was your name?
I'm Sophie. Hi. Yeah, but to me, what it's feeling like, and again, I'm not a debater, so I don't know the right term, but it feels like you're moving the goalpost a bit. You were saying that, for you the issue was that given identical applications, the minorities gets more credence or more, it has a better chance, if you will.
I do think it boosts application because these schools want more. They want more minorities.
But more. How is 6% when that's not even half of the actual population? Them accepting more.
Right. So, this is another stat to look up. But what percentage of African Americans that live in Missouri is living in poverty, or at least just can't afford college? Right.
Well, I don't think that's an issue. And I'm sorry, but I don't think that's too much of an issue simply because that's another one of those, presuppositions by people who feel like DEI programs and affirmative action are the reason why, again, they feel unqualified minorities are getting their seats that they're entitled to. They tend to say, they offer scholarships. They offer so many more grants and ways and pipelines for Black people again to take my rightful place here. And it's again, so I don't think that has anything to do with it, because I think it's just another opportunity to move the goalpost one more time, if that makes sense. So I mean, let's take a step back, because I feel like we're kind of getting into the weeds a little bit. I think I very much showed that it's not a matter of Black people having more of a chance by any means, but ultimately, like I still just feel like the heart of what you're saying is that you feel upset for your brother because he was deserving of a thing that he did not receive, and somebody you felt was undeserving received it. Is that correct? Or
I'm not saying that the person who got it, my brother was undeserving.
So then what would be the problem with?
I'm saying that my brother had pretty much perfect credentials to get into law school, and yet he didn't get in. And I don't think that's how it should work. You know what I mean?
Well, again, you can't then put the. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, Sean.
You were saying earlier that African Americans and whites, have the same opportunities of getting into college. So then that kind of brings us back to the starting of the whole white privilege.
What did I say with that? I don't think I said that at all. I don't believe that to be true.
You were saying that they have equal opportunities of getting into school, and we're specifically when we're talking about law school, depending on their resumes or their accolades, that is all based off of. So
no, I couldn't have said that, because I don't believe that. I might have said that. Okay. What tends to happen is Black people have to be overqualified to, again, fill that 1 in 20 spot. And I also said that people who think that minorities are getting into school unjustly or undeservingly, whether they're poor or not, or whether they felt like they could afford it or not, didn't come into the equation in those people's minds, because I think they feel like the school would give that person a scholarship or give them a way to get in regardless, because they're not looking at anything other than this person's going to and was offered a spot that belonged to me or to someone who is more deserving. So no, I hope that clears it up. I absolutely do not think that minorities of any sort have equal opportunities to apply and get into school.
Okay. It was great talking to you.
You too.
But I think at the end of the day, the whole 1 in 20 argument is kind of upsetting me a little bit. The math there is very flawed.
I'd love for you to explain how. And if you do a little more digging,
I did explain how. So if you have 5% of a student body that's African American, right?
Okay.
And you so if you have 5% of the student body that's African American, and the African American population in the United States as a whole, right? And Missouri is not even close to the most dense, African American population in the country. So I'd probably say that the African American population in Missouri is somewhere around, probably like 10 or below percent, right? So you're saying that if we have 5 out of every 100 students at the University of Missouri that's African American, that doesn't give them a 1 in 20 chance to get into school, right? Because you have to look at what the population of the people applying to the school are. It's not a 1 in 20 chance for them to get in, right?
Well, it says that in Missouri, white people are 61% of the population, yet they're getting 76% of the entries into the school. Black people are 12.4% of the Missouri population, and only getting not even 6% into the school. So that's proving my point even more, I think. I'm not trying to debate you about it. I genuinely just feel like that's like this is where the goalpost starts to shift a bit. Like it's not what you thought it was, but instead of correcting your belief that this person still got in unjustifiably, instead I would say, well, wow, that person must have really worked their ass off way more than I thought, because you simply cannot know. You simply cannot know all of the different variables. Like, you say he had a perfect application, but if he did, he would have got in. So there's clearly things that were different or better. And I'm sorry, I don't know if you're talking to me. I hear something.
Yeah, my buddies are a little loud.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna walk out of the room. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm walking out of the room. All right, I'm back.
Hi, Sean.
All right. So I'm not. I can't exactly argue with the fact that my brother had a perfect resume, which obviously I can't know that for sure, right? I mean, it wasn't my resume, right? But I did see what it was. But at the end of the day, it's about. I mean, I made the wrong argument when I argued, the percentage of population of Missouri and who applied. Sadly, I've been trying to look this up for about 5 minutes now, and they really don't have any numbers on it.
I know. I tried to find them too.
About how many, what the demographics of applications were, right? It's about the demographics of applications, not about demographics of, the state school business. Obviously, you got people from Kansas who come to you, you got people from Iowa, I met people from Colorado, I met people from everywhere, right? So it's at the end of the day, it's more about the demographics of the applicants that go to school here rather than, what the percentage in the state is. And even if you look at the percentage of the state, right, and all 61% of whites that live in Missouri applied, that would be wrong, right? Like, I mean, and you have 12.4% of African Americans, that would be wrong. That, obviously it'd be a little bit off in terms of acceptance. But I thoroughly do believe that the amount of applicants for this school, especially for the price it is to go here, I mean, I'm pretty far into debt. So at the end of the day,
aren't we all?
About, yeah. So at the end of the day, it's more about the demographics of who applied to the school.
But is it though? I mean, again, let's take all that away. Let's take all that away. Let's look at the fact that you said earlier was it a friend who applied, or was it yourself that applied somewhere, didn't get in, and then used the same resume and got in the next year? Was that you or someone that you knew?
Yeah, no, that was actually my friend's brother.
So okay.
He was not. I was talking about middle school.
Okay, but think about this. What kind of strikes me with that then is your brother didn't get into law school, and I'm willing to bet he's going to just apply again next year, which is great. I didn't hear anything in the way of, in this year, he's going to go volunteer to do this, or he's going to go work as a paralegal here, or he's going to go study this exclusive program here, or he's going to apply for to work as under a senator here, or whatever I don't know.
Okay, well,
but
my brother isn't late. He's gonna go do that. He's not just gonna wait for you.
Okay, but that's not anything that came up. The only thing that came up was that the reasoning behind him not getting admitted was DEI, essentially. Whereas again, I don't even think your brother would have to do anything extra to get in next year. But it's just interesting to me that wasn't the next step, Like, once he didn't get in, the next step was to blame someone. It was to blame somebody he didn't even know, essentially. as opposed to
Oh,
saying,
no,
oh,
I'm
you know
not
what?
blaming that person. It's not that person's fault. It's the system's fault.
I mean,
It's nothing
again,
to do. It's nothing to do with the person that got it.
but I don't even think it's really anything other than that it's just hard to accept that you weren't good enough, you know? I mean, again, you say perfect resume, perfect application. He didn't get it. It wasn't. So I just think that the next steps again need to be
So
how are we
I have a question. I have a question for you.
certainly.
Put yourself into
Sure.
per se you were applying to law school. Per se you had a 4.0. You had A in every single class you had in college. You had many volunteer hours. You were in clubs in college. You did extracurriculars, and you didn't get into law school. What was your thoughts on that? Would you think that you didn't do good enough, or would you think that somebody got it over? Would you think that a white male got it over?
I would think I didn't do good enough. I would immediately think I didn't do good. Well, babe, so you think that because that was your first thought that somebody got in over you, that's my first thought, or that would be my first thought? It's not. It absolutely isn't. And maybe that therein lies the white privilege, you know, that you can take the onus completely away from, or he can take the onus completely away from himself. I'll let you know, I did apply and get into law school. On my first try, no, it was a school that ended up folding, Charlotte School of Law in Charlotte. So that was like a whole thing. But, you know, so I know what it takes. I know my LSAT score had to be super great, and I had, you know, and so because I'm a black woman, and because I know I only have a 1 in 20 fucking shot, son, to get this spot, you know, my LSAT was fire. My essay is fire. I did all the things. I actually I found like the best attorney in Charlotte and literally picked her brain about what she did, what I need to do. Like I kind of forced her to be my mentor. She was able to write an amazing letter of recommendation for me, so that I didn't hear, you know, that might be something he could do. You know, so there's shit I did to over prepare for anything that I want to do, any job I've ever applied for, any school I've wanted to get into, any program I wanted to get to do, any board I wanted to be on. I have overshot the goal by such a massive amount that it's like I've never not gotten anything I've ever wanted because I overshoot the goal. It has nothing to do with, I guess where my race comes in is that I know that it's going to be such a barrier that I have to overshoot. I have to go hard. And so no, if I don't get something, which again, I can honestly not think of a time I have not achieved the goal that I've set my mind to. But if it were to happen, I would immediately say, you know what? Okay, what did I do wrong here? Is there a pattern? Is there, what do I do next time? Is there going to be a next time? Do I want to put myself through this anymore? You know, like, so maybe it's the universe telling me this is not for me. You know, like, I don't know, but it's never going to be someone else did better than me because that's impossible. That's impossible. Like, nobody's ever going to do more work than I'm going to do. So
yeah, that's something you gotta have. I like that you have that.
And honestly, that's what I think white privilege, again, is not needing to have that mindset. You don't have to. And that's awesome. Like, I wish I could just, I'm going to try. I don't get in. It's cool. No, I don't have a choice. But, you know, and like, it's funny. Okay. Like, my husband is white, right? And so when we lived in America, I would tell him, I'd be like, yo, just apply to, like, there's this vice president position. It just apply. You could get it. Like, and he would be like, oh no, I'm not gonna do. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm serious. Like, just apply and you will get it. Like, it's just so funny to me, like the difference, you know. So I'm just talking away, Sean. I'm sorry, but I mean, what I'm hoping.
No, you're good. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what America is, right? There's agreements everywhere. I mean, the world would be perfect if Washington said it best, right? Once you make two parties, the world's gonna go to shit. So that's kind of what happened. And I don't know. I respect your opinions, and you know, we're obviously both entitled to have different opinions. I just think like my borderline argument, kind of just to end this call, is that because white men are the majority, it does make it harder a lot of times for white men to do a lot of things within this country. And when, you know, there's a lot of roles that are looking for minorities or even just women of any ethnicity, you know, it makes it easier for them, right? And obviously, you know, the country has changed a whole lot from when we started. It used to be white men. But I mean, now you look at it, we just had our first black president a few years ago, or not a few years ago, it's been more than that, but we just had our first colored female vice president last term. And I think the world's changing. I think that white privilege is, you know, not a thing anymore. And I mean, obviously we can disagree on that, but I think at the end of the day, it's really just about, you know, who you are and what your accolades are, and, you know, what you've done with your life more than it is about anything else.
Sure.
I don't think it's easier for me to get a position than it is for you. And I don't think it's easier, you know, 90% of the time for you either, right? Like, it's who you are, it's what you know, it's who you know. It's a big part. Who you know is, you know, the thing you're taught the most, I feel like, throughout your entire life. And that's like the biggest thing. I don't think it has anything to do with the color of your skin or any of that. And I mean, that's where things have kind of gone south. I mean, people focus on the color of their skin, and it's not really about that anymore. We're all people, and you know,
Sean.
I don't know. I can't agree that white privilege is. I don't know. I just think the left.
You don't have
really
to. You don't have to. Because it just is.
Focus on skin color, but they're the ones who are always talking about racism this, racism that. But they're the people who are constantly talking about skin color, and I just think it's crazy.
You realize that the whole reason you called me is because you feel that someone benefited because of their skin color. You know, like
well, yes,
nobody's.
That was specifically college, and I think I was specifically college, and I think it is set up that way. And sadly, I can't find numbers on the amount of applicants that apply to a university, and you know, the demographic of the actual student body. But I thoroughly do believe that it is easier for people who make up a less amount of the country. They have an easier opportunity to get positions in college, especially 100,000%.
Can I ask you one more question? I know you're trying to go.
Growing more and more.
Sean. Can I ask you a question? I know you're trying to go, but yeah. I'd love to know what numbers could you find on that applicant distribution that would make you feel justified in what you're saying? Like, what numbers are you looking to find that would...
Well, what I'm looking to find is the amount of applications per demographic to a certain school, and then what percentage of the student body is made up by those demographics. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? If you had, you know, say you had like 7% or something like 7% that applied to the University of Missouri that were African American, and they make up 5% of the student body, then that in turn kind of shows that they're looking for African Americans in the student body, because, you know, African Americans are only 13% of the country, and it's harder to, you know, fill that, you know, that spot. I mean, it's at the end of the day, like, I don't know. It's I just think, like, for the sole reason that minorities make up small portions of the country's population, they in turn are offered with more, you know, they're offered with easier ways to get into schools, because these schools are looking for minorities, right? And when you do any basic college application, no matter what school, they always ask you your ethnicity, right? Because they want to know if you're a minority, because they need more minorities. And, you know, in today's day and age, if you happen, I mean, private schools are an exception, obviously, because they can do whatever the heck they want. But in today's world, colleges are looking to fill minority roles, right? And I have a firm belief that they're going to fill those roles with, you know, minorities, and it's going to be easier because there's a less amount of them that are applying, if you understand what I'm getting at.
I mean, I do, but I don't think you understand what you're getting at. Like, what does it even matter, really, if you think about it? Like, okay, let's say there's 1,000 spots, right? Yeah. We know for a fact that University of Missouri is going to give about 750 of those spots to a white person. They're only going to give about 50 of those spots to a black person. So if they are on the back end looking at, you know, the ethnicity of the applicant in order to try to fill those 50 seats, it really, how does it even matter how many black people or how many white people apply? They're still trying to fill 750 seats, you know, as opposed to just 50 seats. So they're going to separate out the black people from the pool of who they're looking for anyway. So it kind of doesn't seem to matter. And again, like I think that.
So I don't think they're trying to fill 750 white people. Like I said again, I think it's about the demographic of applications. And I can't give you a number on this for sure, but I can almost guarantee you here at the University of Missouri, especially in a place like the Midwest, you have over 750 people that are white. Like actually, I can guarantee you that are applying to the University of Missouri. I can't guarantee you that there's, you know, more than like 75 African Americans that are applying because of the way that population breakdown is. And that's how college is, right?
So what numbers would you want to see? So if there's 750 seats, because we know we looked at the numbers of who actually makes up the student body. So the people who got this.
Number on applicants.
Sure, but that's what I'm trying to understand, I suppose, is like, let's say that of the 750 seats for white people and of the 50 seats for black people, let's say that there's 5,000 applicants. And let's say that, like, out of that 5,000, 1,000 of them are black. That 1,000 are still only competing for 50 seats. 50 seats, not 1,000 seats.
These are made up numbers. These are made up numbers that don't.
But what numbers did you want to see that would make sense to you as to why black people are having some sort of advantage? Is my question. I'm just not understanding.
Like I said, if you give a hypothetical where you have like give 1,000 again. So you have 1,000 applicants at the University of Missouri. You have 1,000 people that are applying.
Okay.
And you have 800 of those are Caucasian. And you have, I don't know, 75 to 100 of those being African American. Right?
Okay.
Say 75. That lines up a little better. It's about the number of applicants because you can't be like, oh, they're only allowing 50 seats to African Americans, because at the end of the day, there's not even like probably within, I don't know, like 10, not even like a 10th for African Americans. They're the whites that are applying, right? It's about like how many people are applying, and I really hope you find those numbers. And maybe I'll give you a follow-up and send you a message if I can find those numbers for a certain school.
Sure.
But the issue is the amount of people that are applying, and I can almost guarantee you, because I went to a public high school, and I couldn't tell you the exact demographic of what my high school was made up of. But if I were to take a guess, it was probably pretty similar to what, the country's population aligns to. Like I'd say, anywhere from 15 probably to 17% were African American. There's probably maybe 10-ish% Hispanic, and then obviously there's going to be a few Asians in there, and then the rest are Caucasian, right? Of those African Americans that I went to high school with, not a single one of them that I knew went to the University of Missouri. They went to schools where, and I mean the same with the white people that I knew that I went to high school with, right? But a majority of the people that I went to high school with, so like you go to places where you get a scholarship, right? I had a few buddies that were on the football team that I still hang out with to this day when I see them over breaks and whatnot. They went to schools where they were offered scholarships to play sports, right? Because the sad truth of America is African Americans are in more poverty than a majority of the population or a majority of the other demographics, and that's where I think it comes into play when looking at how many people apply to a certain school, right? That's the point I'm trying to make, is that there's definitely because we don't have numbers and we really can't even argue each other on this. This is just what I think. I think that the percentage of people that are African American that apply to a certain university have a closer percentage of acceptance rate compared to the percentage of Caucasian people that apply to a university have an acceptance rate. That's the point I'm trying to prove. Is that, and like I said, I don't have those stats, and if I can find them for any school, I will send those to you on TikTok, and we'll maybe be able to chat about that.
That'd be great.
I just do think that you can't look at it like 13% of people that apply to do are African American, and you know what I mean. And I think there's way more than 61% of Caucasian people that apply to the zoo. I think that's way greater amount actually.
Well, and I hear you. I guess what I hope that we both walk away from with this talk, though, is that maybe what your brother takes this year to do is maybe put himself in the shoes of somebody then who like clearly he expected to get in. You don't do anything without expecting to get the thing you're trying for.
Yeah, 100%.
So
you're not expecting not to get in, right?
Yeah, so maybe then he should flip that mindset a little bit and put himself in the perspective of somebody who does not expect to get in and knows that they have to do above and beyond in order to even get their foot in the door, So take this year to find a mentor, to get some letters of recommendation, to do more volunteering, to go under certification programs, like whatever he can do to pad his application as much as he can, and again, just flip his mentality to think more DEI, to think more, like a Black person might, as in, this is not going to be handed to me. Yes, I hope to get in, but it's not a guaranteed thing. So again, I hope maybe that's something that's helpful from this call. I certainly am not, again, I know it sounds like we're contentious, but I think we're on the same side. Like I absolutely want your brother to go to law school, and I want him to be successful, and I'm glad 100%. You're doing well in school. So it's nothing but well wishes and best thoughts for everybody in this situation. So maybe use it to your benefit then. Have him switch his mindset a bit to a deficit mindset instead of a entitled mindset, and do what he's got to do to get in.
I don't think he has an entitled mindset because he was Caucasian. I think he did have a letter of recommendation from an attorney that my dad knows from college, and in my personal opinion, he did go above and beyond to try to get into law.
But again, he didn't get in. So he didn't.
It wasn't enough, though, right?
It wasn't enough. So you have to go harder.
Go above and beyond. Yeah, you can always go harder, 100%. But I think you're kind of saying that he didn't put in the extra step. You know what I mean?
No, I think you're saying that you think whoever gets in instead of him didn't. That's what all this translates to me, you know? So I'm just trying to help you understand a DEI person's perspective, if that makes sense. And I'm sorry, what now?
I said this before on the call. I don't think that a person with maybe a lesser of a resume is going to get in, but I think when you have the exact same resume from a minority to a white male in particular, I think they let the minority in over that white male because they are the minority and they already have however many white male applications because white males make up the majority, especially in law school in particular, then that in turn gives them a lot more applications from these Caucasian men, and you have a lot less applications from these minorities. And if you have the exact same resume from a minority to a Caucasian man, they're likely going to let the minority in because they are a minority. That is my simple point.
Well, then, and again, just coming from a DEI person's mindset, my thinking then would be, okay, in order for me to get higher in the rankings of this 750 seats, I'm not even gonna fucking worry about the 50 seats. I'm trying to be more impressive within this group of white people, So I wouldn't even be concerned with what somebody who's not in my demographic is doing. I'm definitely gonna try to outshine, outclass, outqualify the person that I'm actually up against, So I hear what you're saying, but you're not even up against. It's not a matter of comparing, the white versus the black, because their seats are totally separate from your seats if you think about it that way. So again, just try to encourage your brother to have more of a deficit mindset about it, because again, you already stated, that he thought he was going to get in. He knew he was going to get in, and so it's a blow. I can imagine it was a blow to not get in, and it's natural to want to try to understand why, as opposed to really just looking at what you can do to make it an undeniable acceptance for yourself or for himself. But I feel like I'm kind of beating a dead horse a little bit. I'm going to let you have the space to find whatever numbers it is that'll make you feel a little bit better about it. Although I don't think it's really about that. I think we've shown what the percentages and what the seats are, especially compared to the population of Missouri. So I don't really know what more I can say, but I really enjoyed speaking with you, and I'm glad that you chose to chat with me today.
Yeah, 100%. I'll just end it off with my points. Again, it's not about the population; it's about the applicants, and we don't have those numbers. And my brother didn't believe that he was going to get in because he was Caucasian. He believed that he was going to get in because he believed that he did take that extra step. So that's all I'm going to end it on. It wasn't about him being Caucasian and having, white, ego, a white ego or whatever. It was him believing
entitlement was the word I used. Yes.
Yeah. My bad. I appreciate you correcting me.
No. No, I get you. But no, you have a good day. Get back to your friends. And, follow me, though, and let's keep up the conversation, especially if you come up with some more numbers.
Sure,
I'm around.
I'll be sure to send you some numbers.
All right, but thanks, Sean.
Yeah, have a good one.
All right, you too, sweetheart. Oh, what a darling. I hate it, I hate that his brother didn't get in. That's not cool, But I just think that his actual competition, that's all I'm saying, his actual competition is other white people vying for that 750 seat spot. Nobody's really thinking about who's going to fill those 50 seats. You got to try to get in one of those 750 seats. But I do understand what he's saying, that if it's, an apples to apples thing, that they're going to choose the black apple. But I just think that a lot of the reason why is because Black people tend, from my experience anyway, Black people tend to, again, overperform, overqualify for their applications for work or for school. But yeah, either way, let's try. Oh my gosh, I'm so behind. Okay, I'm sorry, friends. If anybody else wants to call in, feel free. Let's see. Still seeing some DEI. Let's see. I'm never gonna catch up on comments, I don't think. Thanks for the follow, Sean, and thanks again for the call, darling. That was really, really, really fun. Really nice to chat with you. I'm gonna be very honest. Like, this whole thing really makes me a little nervous. It's a little scary to talk about things that are so contentious with people who I know probably hate me. Hate me just because they see me and see a Black person and think all this stuff with this DEI stuff, and immediately, like, so I know, like, there's a lot of people who come on and they hate me, and so it makes me nervous to, again, put myself out here in this space, because that's very scary. I have children I have to think about. And so thank you, Sean, for being so kind. Dylan, who called the other day, even some of the folks who call, and those calls start off a little rocky. You know who you are, and those tend to smooth out even. And so I appreciate how this is going so far. Again, this is only my third real day streaming on TikTok, and so my nervousness was pretty high, but it's coming down quite a bit because of just how kind everybody's been. I know some of the comments still seem a little contentious, but none of us are on opposite pages here, really. We all want the best for Sean's brother. We all want the best for all our friends here. We all want to be healthy and happy and free, and we want the prices of eggs to go down. so nobody is on the opposite side of anything. So we're talking about DEI and stuff, but it's definitely not. It's not the real issue here. That's not the real difference between us. There is no real difference between us. So that's all I'm hoping to do with Call a Liberal, is to let's build some bridges between each other. Let's build some bridges between our different ways of thinking, because I don't think they're actually that different. So, hopefully the things I say can be helpful. I just hope they're not hurtful. That's the only thing I'm hoping. So, if you hear me say, oh, there's a thing called white privilege, and you disagree that exists, it doesn't hurt you, I hope. I hope it's not something that hurts you, you hear Trump's going after teaching history and teaching about slavery and stuff, because I guess the whole DEI and CRT pushes are, it's scary for young white kids to feel guilt or feel responsibility when it's not their responsibility for the things that their ancestors did and stuff. And it's okay, but don't you think that, the people who have to live with the ongoing ramifications of Jim Crow and antebellum times and civil rights and all this stuff, don't you think that's difficult for them? Don't you think it's difficult for those young Black, Asian, Hispanic children to have to deal with. Don't you think it's difficult for Hispanic children to see what's going on in this country? Again, like it's insane to me that we don't give a fuck about everybody else's feelings. You only give a fuck about, you know, white people's feelings, white children's feelings. It's like, what about everybody else's feelings? Like you're saying, oh, you just deport the kids with grandma. You know, like that's the most callous, hateful shit I've ever heard in my life. You know, for people to actually sit here and be like openly racist, openly pro-immigration, openly pro-mass deportation. You know, it makes zero sense to me how they can then act so concerned about children's feelings. It just, you know, racism is an awful thing. Period. I'm going to refresh because I don't think I'm seeing something. Yeah. Rat Pie said no sense at all. That's all I see. So if you want to explain what you mean, happy to address it. It's getting a little late my way. It's after midnight here in jolly old England, and so I think I might call it a day with Sean's chat. That was lovely. Let's see. Oh, Rat Pie. She said racism makes no sense to me. We are all one. That's the truth. You know what's so funny though? It's like I'm on Xiao Hong Shu, little red book or red note, and what a beautiful place that is. Like I'm glad TikTok's back, and again, this is like my third or fourth day streaming live here. So thank you for all of your support and your warm welcomes, and even the comments that are a little antagonistic. Thank you for the engagement. I really appreciate it. But there's nothing like Red Note. The Chinese people are so kind and so welcoming and absolutely magnanimous. It's just a beautiful place. Highly recommend we go there. They love Black people. They are so interested in our culture. Even some of the things that they do that you would perceive to be as offensive, it's all done out of just curiosity, love, or appreciation. There's this whole trend now of Chinese people with stick straight hair getting these really tight curly perms so that they can wear afros and dreadlocks, and it's amazing. So highly recommend you guys get on Xiao Hong Shu, Red Note, and make an account and just see how lovely it is to engage with a group of people that you're told to fucking hate. We're told that the Chinese are evil and they're communists. Beautiful people. Highly recommend. You know, racism makes no sense. Coming from any race to another, we are all one. And again, I think it's beautiful that even the Chinese people can respect the fact that they come from African people. Like they lift that up. Another thing that I was surprised about with Red Note is how pro Luigi Mangione they are. That dude is everywhere on Xiao Hong Shu. It's beautiful that not only are they so welcoming to Americans, but that they're also very interested in building this class consciousness and trying to understand how much we have in common as opposed to what separates us, like fucking DEI or did not Ellen do that salute. You know, like it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I'm very much pro Red Note. You learn some things there too about just their education system and their work-life balance, and like they don't have the same perspective as we do. Like, so they were saying how they learned how, you know, you get an hour for lunch and only 30 minutes if you work this time, and you only get these days off, and if you're breathing, you can only this thing. they're like, yo, we take as much time as we need. We take like 2 hours for lunch. We have mandated naps sometimes. Like it's a beautiful place. You can actually get like au pairs to live in, to help with kids, and the healthcare system is amazing. I have a friend who lives in Dalian. In fact, if you go on follow me, y'all, follow me. And look at my TikTok. I have some tips for TikTok refugees who are trying to open a Red Note account, from my friend who lives in Dalian. He's lived in Dalian for almost 15 years now. And he just had the best advice. And he was saying how China has essentially done this crazy feat of lifting 500 million people out of poverty and into the middle class. And so homelessness really isn't a thing there. He's like, I've seen maybe 2 homeless people in Dalian, and they're kind of famous because they just seem to evade the government trying to help them. Like, one's schizophrenic and stuff. So like, it's just not, there's no homelessness epidemic in China. It's beautiful and clean. Jiangsu, New York has nothing on Jiangsu. Like, and I hope I'm saying that correct, but it's just, the cities there, the skyscrapers are amazing. And then the beaches, Dalian has an amazing beach. Like, it's a beautiful place with beautiful people. And I'll digress because I can go on. I love it. But get a Red Note account, you guys. It's stellar. And it's funny. It's cute too, because you see like cats and babies. It's really the Instagram / Pinterest of China. People keep saying it's the TikTok of China. The TikTok of China is called Dalian, and it's literally bright dances or whatever, bite dances, TikTok in China. So we just don't get that on the App Store here, but TikTok in China is Douyin, Douyin. And another app or site that's really good is Weibo, Weibo. Amazing. It's like the Reddit / Twitter of China. It's hilarious. Just the funniest stuff on it. So they have a Weibo international app you can get. But yeah, I mean, saying all that to say, like, right, you're absolutely right. So not only is it sad that racism puts this pall over us in America where we feel like we're so fucking different, but then to realize that even across the globe, there's this whole community of people who are so like us, so similar to us. We're all just people. We live in a society. We're all just trying to do our best. So, I don't think I'm going to get any more calls tonight. It's getting a little quiet. And again, it's almost 12:30 in the morning my way. So I think I'm going to hang it up for the night. But what a pleasure it was to be here with you all. Again, thank you for your comments. Thank you for your follows, your likes and shares. I see I got a couple coins. What? Thank you guys. I got to figure out how to see it on the phone because I want to see if I get like the little hearts and the hats and all the fun little things. Like, that'd be fun. But so I'll try to figure that out at some point. But yeah, maybe I don't know how to do that. I still don't see on my account. I still don't see like that I'm live on my account. So I'll try to figure that out, I suppose. I digress again. Yeah, thank you for everything. I will try to be on again tomorrow. I'm going to try to be daily with this at about 5 p.m. Eastern time every day, just to, again, offer this space, because this is your space. This is your time to call a liberal, chit chat with somebody who is not here to to point out your logical fallacies and your I don't fucking know. I'm here just to offer discussion, debate, build some bridges between each other, because we have so much more in common, you guys. Let's build this class consciousness, okay? And I just want to let you know I love you. and I hope you'll love one another with permission. All right? You guys have a good night.